So I said in my last review that I thought that the Battle of the Bastards was quite possibly the best episode of the entire show's run, and I was thinking there's no way that the finale could beat it. And just after seeing the insanity that was in The Winds of Winter, I mean, I'm not really too sure which of these last two episodes of the season are better. Leaving story out of it, the way that the opening to this episode was presented to us. I mean, the story side to it, of course, is interesting because of, I mean, what it shows about Cersei, but the way that it was able to bring that to us, you know, we have all these shots, you know, showing all the people, you know, getting ready for something, and it's interesting. I suppose more on the side of the story. I was thinking when watching this that all these people, they have some sort of an idea of how this day is going to go down. We have the High Sparrow who's thinking, okay, Loras, he's going to accept what he's done, and then I don't know, whatever. I mean, he might not have been expecting that he joined the Sparrows, maybe, but yeah, no, he was probably expecting that. Yeah, no, he just admit to his sins. And then you got Marjorie, who we found out a couple of episodes ago that she isn't really with the Sparrows. You know, she's got her own ideas going on. She's thinking something's gonna go down well for her. We've got Tommen, he's just rolling with it. He recently made the Faith of the Seven like a sort of a real big part of King's Landing then. And then we have Cersei, who is bloody evil. The way that this was all presented to us with, you know, we've got that music, people are going on about this music. It was playing this piano music, and the way even the violins in it as well. It's not sort of typical Game of Thrones music, really. That music was just playing throughout this whole sequence, and you just knew something was going to happen. Now, there were theories saying that Cersei would do this. I was thinking, it's possible. She is pretty crazy, and she said before that she'd do something like that, but whether or not she'd actually go through with it, I don't know, but she did. Oh my god. I mean, she's always wanted to be up on top, and she got there. She became queen by the end of this season. Like, not just like queen regent or any of that crack. Like, I mean, she's actually queen. She is the one ruler of the Seven Kingdoms now. It just leaves a sort of an uncomfortable feeling, really. Like, how she got there by killing all those people. Like, I was interested to see where Marjorie would go, and I was thinking with the Maggie the Frog prophecy, which we saw at the beginning of season 5, I was thinking that Marjorie would be the one that would take her place, and maybe it was coming true, and maybe like the fact that I guess Marjorie did become queen, maybe that really was it coming true. But I don't know. Maybe it really is going to be Daenerys who's going to be the one who takes her place there. I don't know. But yeah, no, Marjorie, she had her plans going on, and then that's it. She's gone. And it's kind of insane, just the amount of deaths there in this sequence. A couple of minor characters like, you know, Loras, Kevin, and Mace Tyrell, you know, all of them, they don't have massive characters, I guess. They're still people we've seen a lot throughout the show. And then Grand Maester Pycelle as well. It's kind of good, you know. Oh, he ends up as, and it's interesting actually, in the books, he actually is taking the place of Kevin Lannister, who, I mean, Kevin Lannister, he dies in the fire, whereas, you know, in the books, he's the one who gets stabbed in the end. And interestingly in that, it's sort of a plan with Varys. He plans that out. And I was actually thinking, when Varys left a couple of episodes ago, I was thinking this is what he was going to do. He was going to go to King's Landing and then he was going to kill Kevin. But really thinking about it, there'd be kind of no reason for him to do that. It sort of makes a bit more sense in the books. And sort of his whole reasoning for it, it's completely different. Like, he's not even connected with Daenerys in the books. But I suppose specifically, Grand Maester Pycelle, he's someone who we've seen before on the show. There's the way he acts, he puts that persona on as if like, oh, I'm an old man and like I need to walk really slowly and stuff. But he's actually just putting it on completely. And the way he, I don't know, say like in season 2 even, you see with Tyrion, like Tyrion knew that he was someone not to be trusted, and then you just saw like, and that he told the Queen straight away. I mean, Julian Glover, I love the actor, but it's just one of those cases in Game of Thrones where it's a great actor, but the character, you're just like. Of course, Jaime returns, and he sees what has been done to King's Landing, and it's interesting just to think that he actually at one point stopped something like that from happening. He saved the city, and I don't know actually. Maybe it's not quite as big as what the Mad King would have been doing all those years ago, because I mean, the way it's talked about, it's as if the entire city would have been wiped out if the Mad King's plan had played out. Whereas here, of course, we do see that there are more people still around, so I don't know. Still though, when he sees the look of the burning city, he is shocked, and I just wonder what is Jaime going to think of Cersei at this point, because no matter what horrible things Cersei has done before, I mean, he's always loved her, but here, I mean, the look that he is giving her at the end, it's sort of an ambiguous look, and I quite like that. Because, I mean, we don't know what to expect. He's definitely not smiling. I mean, Cersei, she has somewhat of a smile on her. It's very, very small, but I feel like she is happy where she is. Of course, I mean, she's lost Tommen now, which is something else which is insane. Tommen just jumps out the window, that's the end of Tommen. But Tommen actually killing himself, I mean, gosh. I mean, Tommen, I don't particularly like his character much, but still, it's just sort of weird. And that's always been the thing with Cersei, that sort of the only thing that's really made her kind of good, I guess, like a good person, is her love for her children, and they're all gone now. I mean, even with someone like Joffrey, with his death, in his death scene, like, that's not a scene which is entirely gratifying, I find. Just in the fact that you do see someone who's losing their son, and I mean, they're both horrible people, but still, just the anger and the sadness that she has there, I mean, kind of feel something, and maybe that's just me, I don't know, but I feel something. But now, none of that's there anymore. She has no children, and I have no idea what to expect from her now. And Jaime as well. Jaime is really the only thing that she has, I guess. But I feel like this should be the end of Jaime and Cersei. There is a thing in the books where Jaime does completely lose interest in Cersei, which is actually really cool, and they didn't go down that route. But I feel it would make sense, complete sense, if they went down there. If they went down there in the show after what she's done, because I wouldn't know what to think of Jaime if he really was okay with that. Like I said, he tried to save King's Landing from something like that happening before, and then there she goes and does that. I mean, he didn't particularly like sparrows, but still, all those innocent people. No. And it's just weird to think, just the actors we've lost now, no longer part of the show. Lee Dormer, I mean, she's been around since season 2, and then I mean some of the other people, like, you know, Laura's not so much. I mean, Marjorie, she is the biggest character who would have been lost in all this. But Natalie Dormer, I mean, she's been really good on the show, and you know, it's going to be a shame not having her around anymore. And then we also have High Sparrow, played by Jonathan Pryce. I mean, he came in last season, and he is just brilliant as the High Sparrow. I mean, the High Sparrow, he really is an interesting character, I find, and I love how he acts in his final moments. He is so confident of the way things are going to play out that he just allows to be his undoing. So yeah, King's Landing was insane, but that's not where the insanity ends in this episode. No, what we also have in this, like, I mean, speaking of psychos, is Arya. Arya comes back. I felt this was kind of a shame that they had in the opening titles, they had Maisie Williams' name there. I mean, I was thinking it would be cool if she did come back, and, you know, with Walder Frey coming back this season, I was thinking, oh, maybe Arya, because she's coming to back to Westeros, maybe she could complete her list or something like that. But the fact that they have her name there, and I was thinking, oh, okay, she's just gonna do it. But that doesn't stop the fact that this, I mean, I don't know, this was just a kind of a creepy scene, really. I mean, of course, Walder Frey, like, he's a horrible person, you know. I mean, he's partly responsible for the Red Wedding, and just even besides that, he's just not a nice person. He doesn't care about people, and he thinks he's more important than he really is. And I love actually that scene earlier with him and Jaime, and Jaime's wondering about, like, his sort of, you know, when he was younger and sort of his victories, and he's thinking, I mean, what have you really done that's so great? And then he's thinking, oh, like, oh, I beat my enemies, and then that's a victory. And then Jaime, like, I like the way that he's talking then, because part of the history, the Freys and the Lannisters, they have been allies for years, and then it's interesting to see, you know, you have Jaime there who's just like, I don't like you. I just, yeah, just as simple as that, really. Then just, of course, then just with Arya there, just, I mean, Arya is just, I'm quite sure I said this in my reviews of last season when talking about Arya, but she is a psycho. I mean, she is. I mean, sure, she's going after, like, bad people, but the way she's going about it, it's just, you know, it's weird. I mean, I like it. It's interesting for a character where she's going, and I mean, her storyline is probably one of the most interesting, I think, in the show. I'm very curious of where her character will end up in the end. I mean, she has Cersei on her list, so will she go after Cersei? I mean, it's very possible. I don't see any reason why she wouldn't try and go for it. The way she does this, I mean, she actually feeds Walder's sons to him in a pie. And then she just, you know, she cuts his throat and she's smiling at it, and it's just, I mean, she's bloody creepy, is what she is. And I feel, like I said, you know, her storyline is so interesting in that, really, when you look back at season 1 and you look at episode 3, the ending to that, you have her fighting with Syrio Forel. She's learning some fencing, or water dancing as they called it. And what is very interesting about that scene is that I remember when first time I ever watched Game of Thrones, I saw that scene and I didn't particularly get what was going on. And then, you know, as sort of the seasons went on and I rewatched that scene, I realised, this really is, I suppose the way the scene plays it out, it should be obvious, but, it's Ned looking at what his daughter could possibly become, he's looking at her fighting, and then, there are these noises of, like, real fighting, and then he has this look of, like, joy at first, and he's thinking, this is a bit of fun, and then it just turns into just complete worry. And that scene has so much more meaning when you just compare it to how Arya has been just recently. And I love that how sometimes Game of Thrones can make these sort of maybe revelations and changes in characters that when you look back on the show in earlier episodes, those earlier episodes have a different meaning. It's just interesting, I think. But yeah, Arya's a psycho. Creepy stuff. But moving on to a sort of a lighter side to things. This is a very small thing, so I'm not going to talk much about it. But Sam and Gilly. Now, Sam and Gilly, their storyline is something which is kind of been a bit of a mix over time. Sometimes it's been fun, and then other times it's been really boring. This season, we didn't really get a whole lot with them. The biggest thing that happened with them, is that we got to meet Sam's father, and we got to see who really was the horrible person that he talked about before, and sort of lived up to the way we heard about him. Sam and Gilly left Sam's home, and then they just went on to Old Town, and I wasn't actually expecting them to get to Old Town by the end of the season, but they do. And it was really cool to see Old Town, because, this is one of those places, I've read about in the books, and, you've got the High Tower, High Towers, would be one of the families in Old Town, and you actually have the proper High Tower there, and it just looks cool to see that. And then, not only is that cool, but the library that they go to, wow, that library. It's funny, the Maester, he's talking to Sam and he's thinking, try to sort things out, and he's thinking, well, you can wait in the library, just while I try to sort things out. And so Sam goes to this library, and we know that Sam is someone who reads lots, and he's really big into just, finding out stuff and whatnot. And then he goes into this place, which is just, it's just beautiful looking, I think. Like, the interior of this library is one of the best interiors I've seen in the world of Game of Thrones, I think. It was just, it's nothing like I could ever have thought that it could have been. I wasn't even thinking that we would see a big library, but it was just amazing. It was something you'd see in some sort of, in something else. I don't know quite what it reminds me of. It does feel like it belongs in this world. It does feel like a sort of a magical place in some way. I don't know how much magic really there would be in this place. I don't know. But it does feel like the sort of place you would find in some sort of a fantasy story. It's clear, obviously, that Sam will have a good time in this place. And I don't know, where is Sam's storyline really going to go? He's going to be learning how to become a maester. And, Jon did send him there to learn things to help him against the White Walkers. So, I don't know, people have said that maybe he'll find out how to make Valyrian steel. And if they have a lot of Valyrian steel, well, then they'll be able to fight against the White Walkers a lot easier. But yeah, that's really all there is to say about Sam stuff. And then we also have Jon. And with Jon, besides the Bran vision, which I'll get into, it's interesting with Jon how we have that scene between him and Sansa, and then Sansa, she talks about how she she should have told him about the Knights of the Vale, because this was something that when last week's episode came out, this is something people complained loads about, which I don't really understand, because I feel like it makes a lot of sense why she wouldn't have told him about the army, because I mean, you don't know what to think. I mean, she does say that like you'd be an idiot to trust Littlefinger, and I suppose that's just why she didn't tell Jon, because she couldn't have known if Littlefinger really would have kept his word. I mean, he's done some things to her in the past where he's helped her out, but I mean, you don't know with this guy. He's weird. He's weird. I mean, he's an interesting guy, of course, but he's definitely weird. I mean, we see, you know, there's that scene where he's coming closer to her and he's about to kiss her, and then she just she backs away and she's just like, yeah, that's a lovely image. And I'm just thinking, like, she sort of says, no, we're not gonna be, you know, ruling Westeros together. That's not happening. I don't know. For all we know, by the end that could happen. I mean, Game of Thrones does do some weird turnarounds. So I don't know. I mean, that's very unlikely because she doesn't particularly like Littlefinger. So I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, you know, Jon and Sansa, they're talking there, and Jon is saying that they really have to trust each other. And I feel like, you know, they probably will. There's no reason why they shouldn't. But I don't know. Things might happen. The way that Littlefinger has been talking to Sansa over time, it has changed her in a way, you know, which has made her think in certain ways, and is annoying like that. But I mean, of course, interesting. I don't hate Littlefinger. He's an interesting guy. Definitely interested to find out where his story is going. He's also one of the most interesting characters, I think, in terms of where their story could possibly go. And what we get before the King of the North scene is this scene where Davos, he finally confronts Melisandre. He found the stag toy that would have been that Shireen would have had, and he realised what actually happened to her. And Melisandre admits this, and I've just got to say, the acting of everyone in this scene was just brilliant. I mean, Liam Cunningham, he's always been brilliant in this show. I mean, Davos is a cool character, but, you know, he's just one of those characters in Game of Thrones that, like, the actor playing them, it just really brings them to life in a certain way, which is really good. And just hear the way, I don't know, his emotions were really genuine, and it was sad to see, because Shireen, I mean, really was lovely, and, you know, it was awful to see her be treated like that, you know, and burnt, you know. But seeing Davos shout out like that, I mean, it just really brought back what happened to Shireen, and it was just, I mean, this was a sad scene, and I think it was also an interesting scene for Jon as well, in that, you know, of course, Melisandre is the one who, well, it's because of Melisandre that they have Winterfell, and so, you know, Melisandre is saying, you know, it would be good if you have me around because I can help you against the White Walkers, but he knows that, you know, you can't have someone like this. You know, like Davos says, the Lord of Light is evil if you'll let innocent children just be killed like that. And of course, Jon just realizes, yeah, I don't want to be, you know, helped by someone who will worship someone like that. So she is sent away, and I don't know where the hell she's going to go. Could she meet up with Thoros of Myr again? That would be interesting. I don't know where the Brotherhood Without Banners are really going. it'd be interesting if they had two followers of the Lord of Light then, and I don't know, maybe that'll help them in some way. I don't know, really. I mean, Thorsimir is he is actually kind of like a fighter. I mean, Melisandre doesn't really do anything; she just does her magic and then that's it. Whereas, you know, Thorsimir really does stuff. So maybe there'd be no use in her going there. I don't know. She's one of those people, you have no idea where she's going to go, and then something's going to happen where you're like, okay, so there we are. I don't know what I'm on about there. And also, while we're at Jon, something which was one of the craziest, I guess, revelations is the fact that winter has come. This was something, when they said it, I was just like, what? Is that really real? Winter is here. So often in the show we would have heard winter is coming, you know, and then winter is here. I mean, it's funny because, like, even Jon and Sansa, they're kind of laughing at it, and you know, they're thinking back on Ned and how he always said it. But then there's also the side of worry to it. With winter coming, scariness comes as well. You know, I knew that the title of the episode was going to be The Winds of Winter, and I was thinking, oh, maybe White Walkers possibly be in this episode. But no, it's actually about the actual winters being here, you know. But the White Walkers now, with the coming of winter, and the White Walkers, there's just stuff is gonna be scary, I think. White Walkers, the way they weren't in the finale actually, and I do like that. The way that the White Walkers are in the show, usually they only ever appear like maybe once every season, and I really think that's an effective way to do it, because it makes, I don't know, it makes their appearances when they do come all the more scary, because they are scary creatures. I don't know what they're gonna do, and I don't know how people are gonna defeat them, but it's worrisome, definitely worrisome. As well as that stuff with Jon, we get this brilliant scene, which of course brings back season 1, the finale to season 1, Robb being named the King of the North. It's great they have someone like Lyanna Mormont, who is the one making this speech, because when she was introduced in that episode, I think it was episode 7, you know, she like immediately got this fan base to her. I mean, she's just one of those characters, such a small amount of time on screen, and then just people love her. And I mean, she is cool, and this scene is a cool scene as well. It's interesting that in that first time that we see her, and Jon and Sansa, they're coming for, they're coming looking for some help. She says, "As far as I know, you're Snow." And then she's thinking, so you're kind of no one really. But then here, you know, she understands really just who he is, and just how great Jon is, and so just from all this, you know, we get the King of the North shouts, and it was good to see. But at the same time, you do have this sort of, I don't know, a weird feeling, because I mean, last time that happened, you know, last King of the North we had, Robb, that didn't go well. Could things go well for Jon? I don't know. I mean, he's died before. I mean, could he die again? He very likely could, you know. Game of Thrones is the sort of show that you could just, it can, you know, screw with you like that. But I mean, if he was gonna die, he would probably be in the last season. I don't know. I feel like it's unlikely that he will die in the end. I don't know. Anything could happen to him. But even still, it is weird just to have a sort of a scene like that, you know, where you do have that sort of uneasiness of things like, this is good, but it might not be so well. On the note of Jon, Yeah, so R plus L equals J is confirmed. That really is a thing now. So for years, even before the show came out, when it was just the books, there was the theory that Jon is really the son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark. Now, okay, sure, the episode doesn't say it's Rhaegar, but I mean, come on, who else? If Lyanna really does have a baby and Rhaegar took her, or I mean, as people were saying, they were really in love and sort of, they rode off together. I mean, he's obviously the father. Of course, Bran, he sees this through a vision. What does this really mean for the show now? I don't know. I mean, I used to think that the R plus L equals J kind of would have no meaning because I thought that Bran would have been stuck with the three-eyed raven, and I thought he was going to find out in the cave there, and then there'd be no way of getting him out because he'd just be stuck there. But no, he's moving somewhere else. I don't know. He is the three-eyed raven now, so what is that going to mean? I don't know. If Jon really is a Targaryen now, I mean, what does that really mean? Because the only person who would know that would be Howland Reed. He was there at the Tower of Joy when Ned found out. It doesn't look like he was in the room though. I don't know, maybe I'm looking at the scene wrong, but Howland Reed, I guess, we'll have to see him, and if he knows the truth, well, I don't know, as in, I just feel like, how are they going to play that out? How are they going to play it out if he really knows the truth? How are people going to know if it is true? Because you wouldn't think, looking at Jon, that he is a Targaryen. So, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, there obviously is a reason for this happening, so we'll just have to wait and see. But speaking of Targaryens, we finally have Daenerys going to Westeros. I said that in my last review, that it really seems like Daenerys really is going to head off to Westeros now. And I like the way she goes about it. I mean, with the help of Tyrion. Tyrion now he's Hand of the King. He's her proper advisor now. But I mean, she knows that she can't just leave Meereen with everyone. So what she decides to do is leave Daario in charge. Now, Daario Naharis, he's always been a very loyal person to Daenerys, and he's always wanted to stay by her side. And he wanted to be there when she gets to Westeros. But he didn't care about ruling Westeros at all, but he at least wanted to be there. But Daenerys knows that that's not the way to go. I think it's interesting that she says, when she's talking to Tyrion, she says the thing that really frightens her is the fact that it didn't really bother her so much that she was going to leave Daario. And I mean, does that mean that she doesn't care about him as much as she thinks? Or what? I don't know. Is it that she's thinking of Jorah in a way? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with her and Jorah. I don't think they're going to end up together or anything in the end. But I do think there's a possibility that she's thinking maybe, I don't know, because of just how much Daenerys means to Jorah, and Daenerys really understands that. It would be better to have someone like him with her. I don't know what the hell is going to happen with Jorah. I mean, he was sent off earlier this season to look for a cure for his grayscale. And I mean, there are cures for grayscale, as we've seen with Shireen. So, I mean, it's possible. I do hope he gets out okay, because, I mean, Jorah's a cool character. And, he's always wanted to be with Daenerys, like Daario. He's wanted to be there when she gets the Iron Throne. So I do hope he gets to see it. But yeah, Tyrion and Daenerys, it's really interesting, just these two, like, I kind of think maybe these two characters might be my top two, like, favorite characters of the show. At times I've thought, I mean, Tyrion would be my favorite character in the whole show, but Daenerys as well. There have been times when she's been my favorite character, but just in general, I do like Daenerys a lot. And you know, last season I thought it was just so great to see them together, and you know, having scenes together, discussing things. It was just interesting, you know. And at this point, the two of them, there is something there that, you know, the two of them, that Daenerys really does trust this guy, and Tyrion really does have faith in Daenerys a lot. He feels like she really will be a good ruler, and it's because of Daenerys that he was able to live, really. I mean, start of season 5, I mean, he was in a bloody terrible state, and then when he really realized just what Daenerys is like, I mean, he was thinking, this is someone who I can follow, you know. But I think it really is just great to see that he gets the hand of the kingpin, because I feel like the best of Tyrion was when he was the hand of the king. I mean, season 2, I love season 2 so much just because of those Tyrion scenes in King's Landing, because him as the hand of the king is just brilliant. I mean, you have some of the best dialogue with Tyrion in season 2, I think. And I don't know, we won't quite get the same thing because you don't have people like Janos Slynt, Grand Maester Pycelle, or Joffrey, of course. So you don't really have quite the same sort of stuff, but it is good to see the pin, because it just, you know, it's a good reminder of those good old days in season 2. And it also has, you know, the meaning of, like, that he is the hand of the queen now, and you know, he was more than just an advisor. Like, he's the proper advisor now, like an official advisor. Well, official at the point that she really does claim the Iron Throne, which I believe she will. That's one of those things. If it does happen that she really does get the Iron Throne, I don't even see why she couldn't. If she somehow couldn't, I don't know how could that happen, that she couldn't, with the power that she has. That would really surprise me, and they would have to do something very brilliant for her not to be able to. Maybe Euron Greyjoy will come into it in some way, I don't know. He'll build his 1,000 ships somehow on an island which has no trees, with a bunch of people who most probably aren't shipbuilders. I don't really know what the hell he was on about there. He's kind of insane, so I don't know. But maybe he's going to do something. We'll see. Maybe he'll do something along the way. Maybe he'll intrude. I don't know. But yeah, no. If Daenerys does get the throne, I will be happy. It's you know. There have been times when Game of Thrones it's been, I guess, predictable in a way, but it's been kind of a good sort of predictable. I feel like if you're going to be predictable, like if you sort of, you know how something is going to play out, at least make that sort of expectation sort of done in a really good way. And I feel like there have been a couple of times this season where something's played out in a way where you're thinking, I think it's going to go like that, and then it does go like that. Like, even just last episode, there were a couple of moments like that. If you're going to do that, just do it well. And I feel like if Daenerys does get the throne, that it will be good. I don't know. I mean, Cersei is insane. But I mean, what's she going to be like with Daenerys? You know, I mean, Daenerys has all these Unsullied. You know, she has help of the Greyjoys, and she's got bloody 3 dragons. I mean, you don't mess with Daenerys Stormborn. I mean, she's pretty tough just even without all that, you know, as we've seen earlier this season, episode 4, when she burns down that place and she's able to walk out, you know. She's the Unburnt, of course. She's finally gone to Westeros, and not only does she have the help of the Greyjoys, but she has the help of the Martells. And if this was a thing, I remember the Martell storyline was bloody terrible last season, and it was kind of weird at the start of this season as well. In fact, it's barely even the Martells that Varys gets help from, because Trystane and Doran, they are both killed at the beginning, so there is no more House Martell. So that's weird. Maybe there are some more Martells. I don't know. I really don't know. But what I found was brilliant about this episode was that, you know, a lot of people hated the Dorne storyline, and what this show did was bring Olenna Tyrell into Dorne. And I love Olenna Tyrell. The way she talks to people is so hilarious. She doesn't take any people's stupid behaviour, and I mean, of course, the Sand Snakes are bloody stupid. So she's just insulting them, and you're just like, oh, shut up, you. The one thing though that was a bit weird, I found, at the very end of this episode, we see Varys on one of the ships, but I mean, just earlier that episode, he would have been in Westeros. So people are going on about how Varys has teleportation powers. When I saw him on the ship, I was thinking, what the hell? How did he do that so fast? But then I thought about this, and it does make sense if you really look at it in a way that the way time works in the world of Ice and Fire is kind of weird. Things never play out at the same time. You might have these storylines going on in the same episode, but in no way does that ever mean that this is happening at the exact same time. So, what I think, I saw Varys leave in episode 8, and I think really he would have gone to Dorne in the time of episode 9, and so what we're seeing in episode 10 is something which took place not around the same time, but just so it's not something that you have the reveal like straight away in that same episode. Although even then that would be a bit quick for him to get to Westeros. So I think that sort of explains what was going on with Varys there. And I mean, time does pass. You know, we do see on the ships that we do have a sort of a dragon thing made out on the ship, so that would have been done at some point. You know, sort of the way that it's all laid out in the end as they're ready to go. I mean, if you're going to decide to go to Westeros, I mean, that's not something you get done just really quickly. Sort of preparing for that, so that would have taken some time. So that would have given Varys some time as well. So I mean, I think it makes sense, but doesn't stop the fact that when I saw him there, you know, and the fact that he was in Westeros in the same episode, I was just like, what? So that's season 6. This was an insane episode, mostly just on the side of Cersei and her evil ways. I mean, that what she did there, insane, and it's crazy the fact also that we have Daenerys finally going to Westeros. I mean, people have complained before that, like, why hasn't she gone there earlier? But you know, I honestly think it's good the amount of time that she's spent where she is and whatnot. I also like, you know, that she is going with a bit of fear. You know, she's because anything can happen. I mean, like Tyrion says, being in the Great Game, it's terrifying. So when is Daenerys going to get to Westeros in next season? I don't know. That's something that remains to be seen. So yeah, that is season 6 of Game of Thrones. Now, season 6 of Game of Thrones, I don't think was a perfect season, but I think it might be my favorite, because you have that first 5 episodes, each episode kept on getting better. Then you had 6 to 8 where you had not fantastic episodes but still pretty good episodes. Then you have episode 9, which was just fantastic, to put it lightly. And then you have the finale, which is the best finale of the show so far, I think. So just as an overall season, I just love this season. I mean, season 4 was my favourite season before this, and then season 2 as well was one I quite liked. I'd say actually maybe even season 2 might be the most perfect season. I mean, I don't really see any flaws with that. I mean, season 4, there are a couple of months where I'm a bit like, maybe this isn't so great. But it's interesting how season 6, there are definitely some instances where the storytelling wasn't really great, I found. Just the way they treated some characters, I was just like, that's not the best way to go about it. But yeah, no, overall, this is my favourite season. And I am super pumped for the next season, which won't come until next year, of course, but that's fine. So, season 6, that's it. I'm going to do a sort of an overview of season 6. I didn't do any reviews of episodes 1 to 8 because I was very busy with stuff. So I'd like to do a sort of a review of the overall season, because I feel like there is some things to say there. So thank you for watching this unintentionally long video, but I mean, it was an insane episode, so there's a lot to cover. But yeah, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, suggestions, whatever, comments about this video, comments about the episode, what did you think? Just let me know in the comments. Have some sort of a discussion going on, that's always fun. And I'll see you guys next time.